Please welcome Girl Scouts River Valley's CEO, Tish Bolger.
Hello, everyone. It is so great to see everybody here. Thank you so much for being here. Now, we already sang once. Sometimes I just, burst into Girl Scout songs. And now I know, right? Now I'm going to find my place in the script because I get to introduce Sylvia. And let me tell you about something about Sylvia that was just so meaningful to me. We had a Girl Scout convention in October, and we do this every 3 years, and thousands and thousands of Girl Scouts descended upon Columbus, Ohio. And Sylvia was in demand everywhere. Everybody wanted to see Sylvia, and she had handlers that were kind of moving her around. But what I noticed, and every time I saw Sylvia, there were girls, and the girls went up and wanted to talk to her or get a picture with her, and her handlers just gave up because they knew that if Sylvia was interacting with a girl, that was it, that she wasn't going to leave, and that she was so engaged. And I knew right then that Sylvia was somebody that I was going to really have her back and feel so proud to be part of the Girl Scout movement, knowing that Sylvia was leading it. So, that video that Valentine just had, wasn't that fabulous? Let's give a big round of applause for her. And I love the pictures with Valentine in her Connects group. That troop is an amazing troop. And I can't wait for you to meet Valentine in person and our other young woman of distinction, Molly, and the other women who are here today that we'll be honoring. So you know who I am. I'm the CEO of River Valleys. And I want to talk a little bit about Sylvia before she gives her keynote speech. So after graduating from Stanford University with a Master's of Science in Industrial Engineering as one of the first Hispanic students, male or female, to do so, Sylvia began her career, love it, as a rocket scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. I mean, how great is that? Girl Scouts has a rocket scientist. She's held position with some of the world's most respected companies, including as founder, president, and CEO of Communicate LLC, a firm known for its innovative approaches to working with changing community demographics, and perhaps even more impressive and admirable than her career and accomplishments is her dedication to girls' leadership development. Long before Sylvia was named Girl Scouts of the USA's board CEO, she had seen firsthand the power of Girl Scouts. As a Girl Scout growing up in New Mexico after her family suffered a major tragedy, Sylvia was forced to move and leave behind her school, her neighborhood, and her friends. It was this move that brought her to Girl Scouts, which would change her life forever. Her Girl Scout troop provided Sylvia with the tools and experiences not widely available to girls of her background at that time. In Sylvia's words, "This life-changing experience showed me what leadership looked like and enabled me to pursue it as a goal." Sylvia's spoken across the country about the importance of helping girls discover their strengths, passions, and talents. And we are so lucky and grateful to have her here with us tonight to do just that. Please welcome Sylvia Acevedo.
Hey, thank you very much, Tish, and thanks, Gail, the board chair, and thank all of you, you Girl Scouts, you Girl Scout volunteers, you supporters, the donors, the community leaders. Thank you very much. I've been to Minneapolis quite a few times. My brother used to live here. His birthday was in January, and he always wanted us to come visit him then. So thank you very much for having this event in May. I'm very grateful for that. I'm really grateful to be here. I'm really excited by hearing from you about what a difference Girl Scouts has made in your life, what a difference it's making in your community. And tonight I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my Girl Scout story. want to talk about what we're doing in Girl Scouts. And yeah, I'll talk a little bit about that Boy Scout thing. All right. But then I'll bring it back to what Girl Scouts are doing for you, the community, and the country. Does it sound okay? All right. Now, I didn't realize the impact of Girl Scouts in my life, even though I was a Girl Scout, until about 12 years ago. One day, I answered the phone, and there was somebody from Stanford University Archives Department calling and asking for me. And I got to tell you, it's sort of a sobering moment when an archives department calls you. But you know, they were calling me because they said, you know, you're one of the first Hispanic, male or female, to have ever gotten your graduate engineering degree from Stanford, and still, unfortunately, one of the few. So they were calling me to interview me to find out how it was that I even made it to Stanford. Because when I was growing up in southern New Mexico, Stanford wasn't even recruiting where I lived. So they said, so how did you know about Stanford? How were you prepared with all the right, you know, math, engineering, physics, all of that background? You know, at a time when girls like you weren't even graduating from high school, much less going on to college. They said, were your parents rich ranchers? Hardly. I literally did grow up on a dirt road. You know, my family lived paycheck to paycheck. So they kept asking me, but how was it that you became interested in math and science? And the more they asked me, the more I kept going back. It was that Girl Scout experience. I kept going back to, you know, that moment when my troop leader saw me looking at the stars one night. We'd gone camping, we're eating the s'mores, and I was looking up at the stars, and she came and sat beside me, and she said, you know, there's constellations, there's Orion, there's the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. And you know, I had looked at the stars many times, but I never knew that there was a system, that those twinkly lights out there were planets and stars. And she remembered that. And later on, when our troop was deciding what type of badges to earn, and a lot of my friends wanted to earn the cooking badge, and so she said, well, how would you like to earn the science badge, Sylvia? And I said, I want to earn the cooking badge like all my friends, right? I was a girl, right? But she taught me, you know, women, we multitask, and so she said, you can do both. And so I decided to earn both my cooking and my science badge at the same time. And I'll tell you, you know, it was great to do that in parallel, because I learned that it matters if you read directions, it matters if you get the ingredients right, and you get the heat source right. And whether it was making my Estes rocket, reading the directions, making sure I got the, you know, the chemicals right, and making sure I had the heat source so that it could go up in that bright blue New Mexico sky. But also in cooking, where I'd had many disasters, and luckily I got everything together, and as I was doing that, I realized cooking is just like science. And at that moment, in that little girl, I realized I could do science, I could do math. And so I began taking all the science and math classes, and then guess what? I learned not only was I good at it, I liked it. And so I kept taking more and more. And one day I decided I wanted to be an industrial engineer with systems. You put systems and processes together. And I signed up for college counseling to go to college. And I'll never forget, the counselor looked out in the waiting room and looked all around. And she saw me and she said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I want to go to college. And she said, girls like you don't go to college. Now, that was sad. Unfortunately, statistically, back then, it was accurate. But I said, well, I'm going to college. So anyway, she let me in, yes. And so we sat down, and so she said, what do you want to study? And I said, I want to be an engineer. And she slapped her wrist. She's like, ha, girls aren't engineers. But with my Girl Scout confidence, I said, not only, I said, if I can cook, I can do science, and I can be an engineer. And so with that, I did go on to study engineering and being a systems engineer. And one of the great things about being a Girl Scout is, CEO, is you get your own patch. And so my patch tells my story. It has the stars. Those are homage to my troop leaders and to my mom. It has a rocket ship that says CEO on it. I worked on the Voyager 2 mission that went by Jupiter, so if you look at my patch, it's not a cookie, it's the planet Jupiter. And when I was designing my patch, I said, it has to have my 3 favorite math symbols. Because of course I have favorite math symbols, right? So, it's summation, because in Girl Scouts I really learned to sum up the money and totaling up, so I really loved adding. It has pi, and that's an homage to my mom, because I was making a craft, and in the craft I had to get enough material, but what I was making had rounded edges. And my mom said, "What kind of pattern are you choosing?" And I said, "I don't have a pattern." And she said, "Oh, how do you know how much material you need for the round?" I said, "Oh, it's okay, Mom, I did the math, it's 2 pi r." And my mom said, "I'm glad you like math, mija." So that's an homage to my mom. And then infinity, because Girl Scouts represents infinite potential. And so when I give out my patch, I let girls know that this was my dream, but Girl Scouts allows you to have infinite potential and that your dreams can come true as well. But they just weren't my dreams. They were really dreams of so many women. Across America, Girl Scouts has enabled women to do amazing things. Almost half of all female elected officials in America were Girl Scouts. Almost every single female astronaut in space was a Girl Scout. We're 8% of the population, girl population, but our outcomes are outsized. And that's because when our founder started us, Juliet Gordon Low, it was at the time of the move from the agrarian age to the industrial age, and she saw that as a time of opportunity. Even when, at that time, most girls couldn't go to school, women couldn't even be allowed to vote. But Juliet Gordon Low saw that there was an opportunity in the industrial age for girls who knew skills. And how did you show you that you knew a skill? You got a badge, right? So she really created a learning organization that took girl potential, taught her a skill, and made sure that she took action, that she made a difference in her community. And she did that with a caring adult, that mentor, that troop leader, there to develop the girl's potential. Well, now in Girl Scouts, that's exactly what we're doing 100 years later. We're still that fabulous learning organization. And back when Juliet Gordon Low, she did do STEM. Some of our first badges were electricians, were carpentry, right? Now, there are things like cybersecurity, coding, robotics. But we are really focused on the complete girl and the complete leadership experience. So yes, we teach those really important life skills that give Girl Scouts these amazing outcomes. We also love the great outdoors. And how many of you saw our amazing North Face announcement with our outdoor adventure? This is really fantastic. This is part of Girl Scouts. I mean, I saw those girls doing all those amazing things, and I was thinking as I sat back there what I've done with Girl Scouts in the last 9 months. Got scuba diving, horseback riding, hiking, kayaking, trail running. I mean, there's just been so many amazing things. So being outdoors is part of our core. The cookie program. That's the reason half of American women are business leaders. Almost every major CEO, female CEO in America, she was a Girl Scout. And they often tell me, I got my start selling Girl Scout cookies. It's like, yeah. But then there's STEM. And right now, we cannot look at any girl and not see that device that she has in her hand. It's ubiquitous, right? And we want to make sure in Girl Scouts that girls are just not users of technology, but they're the creators, they're the inventors, they're the designers of technology. And I'll tell you, it's just so amazing to see girls when they take this and what they can do with it. When we think about all of our credit cards, they have sensors on them, right? You have those little chips. And when you think about mobile devices now, when you put those ear pods in your ears, those are sensors as well. The mobile devices we have, those are going to be our doctors, knowing all sorts of vital signs about us. And we want to make sure that girls, as this new world is being created, The girls are at the table designing it, writing the ethics, the legal, the marketing, the design, the coding around that. We want to have girls to have those skills, to have the confidence, the leadership as we create the future. And when you look at what's happening all across America, but especially in the middle of America where there are so many industries, they now want to reinvent themselves. And they need a workforce that is literate in technology. They need a workforce that is confident, that has collaboration skills, that has leadership skills. Frankly, they need a Girl Scout. Which brings us to those boys. So, at Girl Scouts, we're rule followers. Both organizations have congressional charters. Their congressional charter is to serve boys. Our congressional charter is to serve girls. So that's what we're going to continue to do. We are absolutely focused on serving girls, serving more girls. We serve an amazing range of girls. Prior to being the CEO of Girl Scouts, I had no idea of our reach in underserved and underrepresented communities. Do you know we reach over 200,000 African American girls, 250,000 Latinas? If you had told me there was an organization that served that many girls, I would have been really astounded. We reach girls in every residential zip code, and we're going to continue to reach even more girls because we're giving them the skills to thrive in the 21st century, and we're doing it in an environment where they are safe. They know they're physically safe, and they know they're safe to try because they live in a co-ed world. They're immersed in a co-ed world. They're in schools in a co-ed world, and they know that they don't get called on. They know that they don't often get a chance to get to the equipment, or if they do, they only get one try. And we know at Girl Scouts, we know how girls like to learn. We know girls like to collaborate. We know girls like to get in small groups. We know girls like to learn about technology to make the world a better place, and the way they interpreted that is how can they help others. And so when you look at what we do with Girl Scouts, and the reason our outcomes are so great is we have 100 years of being the girl expert. And all of our programs are really tailored around them, around how they learn, around how they collaborate, around how they make friends, around how they take risks or don't take risks, around how, if they fail, how can you get them to try again? And how can you get them to understand that failure is a step on the way to success? Because for a lot of girls who are more in the co-ed world, they never get that chance to learn. So when they get out to the world, and even if they might know something, they think, gosh, I may not be very good at it if I don't know how to do everything. But at Girl Scouts, you learn it's okay to try. It's okay to reach out to that mentor, that troop leader who's there to help you. So I'm really excited about what we're doing, but as an American, and I loved how we always start with the Pledge of Allegiance and the flag ceremony, because the work we're doing is so vital to America, to America's workforce, and to America's competitiveness. You see, we recently, I don't know if you've realized, we announced 18 cybersecurity badges, along with 23 new STEM and outdoor badges, 6 space science badges. You wonder why we did that, right? Robotics badges. We've been doing robotics for a long time, and in fact, whenever you see a winning all-girls robotics team, it's a Girl Scout team. We finally just put some badges around it. We also expanded our civics because at Girl Scouts, we care about the community. We believe in serving God and country. We believe in our community. We believe in making the world a better place. And we have civics badges all the way from 5-year-old daisies all the way to 18. This year when we brought in our Daisies Good Neighbor badges, it was really interesting to see how girls, even at the youngest ages, they made an impact on their community. And people said, my Facebook friends, they may not water my plants when I'm gone. And my Instagram followers, they're not there when I'm sick, but that Girl Scout in my neighborhood, she is. And you know, from the very beginning, we teach girls to be active in their community. And it's no surprise that 76% of the US female senators were Girl Scout. Almost all female elected governors across America were Girl Scouts. We teach them civics. But I didn't understand the importance of that with STEM until we announced our cybersecurity badges. Well, actually before we announced our cybersecurity badges, because I almost didn't let us do the cybersecurity badges. Because I come from technology. And the toughest part in that industry is cybersecurity. Think Dungeons and Dragons, right? And I wasn't sure I wanted to let, you know, we're all about safety. And did I want to let girls go in that? And Palo Alto Networks, one of our first partners in cybersecurity, their founder, their board chair, and their CEO called me and said, Sylvia, we need to talk. And I'm like, okay, you guys, I said, I've done the numbers. In your company, you don't even have more than 11% women, and you want to come to the Girl Scouts, you know? But they said, let's tell you a story. They said, have you been to London? I said, yeah. They said, did you know you were always on camera in London? How many of you have been to London? You notice you've been followed on camera, do you wave, right? Because there's visual cameras that follow you. They said, well, you know, it turns out that there was a glitch in the cybersecurity, in the facial recognition software in those cameras. And that if you just put lines on your face, either horizontally or vertical, with something just like lipstick, the facial recognition software would not work. And they knew it was a known glitch until somebody who lived in London got on that team. And there had just recently been an explosion at a concert. And he said, you know, the visual recognition software did not work. And he got that fixed within 2 weeks. And he did because this wasn't just a glitch. It affected the security of his daughter, security of his family, the security of his community, the security of his nation. So he got it fixed. So those executives from Palo Alto Networks said, Sylvia, we've done the math. There is no way that we're going to be able to bridge the gap that the US needs for cybersecurity, technical skills without women, without girls. And when we looked at organizations that could scale, and organizations where patriotism mattered, because in cybersecurity, loyalty, connection, patriotism matters. If you are coding a country's financial systems, its voting systems, its security systems, its defense systems, you need programmers that are civically minded, patriotic, and can do the work. And they said the only way we can close that achievement gap is through partnering with the Girl Scouts. Well, at that point, what could I do but say yes? And I'll tell you, it's been amazing. Last year was 100 year of the cookie. That was amazing media. We got 1 billion media impressions. Wow, right? Our cybersecurity, we had 1.2 billion media impressions. It really hit a nerve. And what we realized is that Girl Scouts is the trusted brand. People know with Girl Scouts, you are safe. And they know that if you let Girl Scouts program your computer at home, your Nest, your Samsung television or refrigerator, your home computer, your school computer, your banking system, you're doing it with somebody that you can trust. And so it was a powerful combination between our brand and the Girl Scouts. And let me tell you, Girl Scouts have gotten so interested. Recently, I was in the agricultural fields of California, and there was a girl working on her gold project, and I said, what are you working on? And she said, well, do you know the Internet of Things? I said, yeah. And her Gold Award project is, with agribusiness now being controlled by the Internet of Things, what happens if there's a cybersecurity attack on the networks that control our farm equipment? So her Gold Award project was about the sustainability of our food supply. That is amazing. And So when I think every day and I get up and I think about what I'm doing, yes, we want to serve more girls. And that is the main thing I think about. But the other thing I think about is this work is a patriotic duty. It's a patriotic calling. And recently, I was in Wichita right after they had an ice storm. And they still had the STEM event that night. And there was 120 girls all having a great time doing robotics, doing STEM, doing coding, doing all these fun things. And there were about 40 parents and troop leaders, and I went to talk to one. And as I was talking to this family, the girl ran up and she said, "My daddy drove 4 hours for me to be here." And this man, I said, "Sir, did you drive 4 hours?" And his wife said, "Well, 3.5 hours in an ice storm." And I said, "Sir, at Girl Scouts, we're all about safety." And he said, "Well, let me tell you something." He said, "In Wichita and Kansas, we had our heyday during World War II in the aerospace industry. And since then, we've just seen our blue-collar jobs be decimated. And we've seen the opioid epidemic just ravage our communities." And so he says, "So what my daughter is learning in Girl Scouts, the leadership, the STEM that she's getting here tonight, that's giving her a leg up on life." He goes, "I'm going to drive 3.5 hours in an ice storm to give my daughter those advantages." And that is what we're doing at Girl Scouts. We're doing that for that family. We're doing that for our communities. We're doing it for your businesses. And we're doing it for America. So thank you very much for being here, investing in girls. God bless you. God bless the Girl Scouts, and God bless America. Thank you very much.